At midnight, the grandfather clock announced the time. It was old, worn, and grossly out of tune, but it never missed a beat. Ding, dong, clang! It repeated itself 12 times, representing each hour. Trying to compete with the noise, the young mother's wailing cries echoed throughout the house. "Curtis, wake up! My water broke!" Startled, her husband woke from a deep, restful sleep. The sound of the clock, with its irritating melody, combined with yells from his wife, confused him in a state of absolute tranquility. In the near dark, he tried to untangle himself from the covers to rescue whatever was in distress. Instead, he fell to the floor with a heavy thunk. She'd been awake for a while and spent the time cleaning herself, then gathered a few toiletries from the bathroom. With a continued dinging, donging, and clanging, she yelled again, "Curtis, did you hear me?" Unscathed other than his pride, he mumbled, "Damn it to hell. Again? What? What is it? Another false alarm?" He conjured a deep, surprised response while lying on the floor. "What do you mean your water broke?" Panicked, she flipped on the glaring bedroom light and packed a small leather suitcase. "The baby's coming. We have to get to the hospital, now." Cinderella thought she had it tough. This was no match. The clock went silent, and Curtis lifted himself from the floor, jumping on one foot, attempting to put on his pants. Hiding and stifling a yawn so she wouldn't see, Curtis scratched his head in confusion. Though he shouldn't be. It had been this way the entire length of the pregnancy, one problem after another. Groggy, he staggered around to find a shirt, socks, and shoes. Digging through the dresser, he said, "I thought you weren't due until July." "I was." Worried and concerned, she reached for her husband's hand. Swollen with a baby and in pain, took a moment and dropped to her knees. Curtis stood by his wife. She let go of his hand and clasped hers together and prayed, "Please, Lord, don't let the baby come too early." Ignoring her prayers, he blurted out, "Have you seen my tie?" Foregoing her sincere prayer, she went from the holiness of a saint to a woman from the underworld in 2 seconds flat. "Forget the damn tie!" She reached for the dresser and pulled herself up from the floor and returned to her small suitcase, snapped it shut, and waddled toward the door. "We have to go." This whole ordeal seemed like a sign of things to come for the yet unborn child. They arrived at the hospital within minutes and rushed her to delivery. Her husband was at her side but whisked away and ordered to the waiting room. In those days, women's rights were not a topic, and the hospital delivery room was a metaphor for that sentiment. It was cruel at best, barbaric at worst. Fathers were never allowed in or near the delivery room. Any communication about the progress was only back and forth communication with an orderly or nurse. The doctors were gods and never questioned, and the patient intuitively remained subservient. All the humiliation and embarrassment young women went through to have a baby almost made motherhood not worth the trade. At most hospitals, there is a psych ward somewhere around, and I'm certain many of these new mothers got to spend a few days there. After several hours of labor, it was time. The baby was as eager to come out as much as the mother was to keep it in. The doctor was in position and gave the final order. "Push!"